Hello, and welcome to Pique My Interest, the show dedicated to creativity. My name is Scoob Decker, and I am an artist, and your host. Pique My Interest is an exploration of art across North America in meeting some incredible artists, learning about their craft, and exploring what makes them create. Welcome to Pique My Interest. Hello, and welcome to Pique My Interest. I'm currently in Oakland, California, sitting in this amazing gallery/studio with this awesome artist. How you doing today?
I'm really good, and you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me. But tell us about you. What's your name and where are you from?
I'm Fernanda Martinez. I'm originally from Mexico City, and I moved to the Bay Area in 2015.
And please, pique our interest. What is your craft?
I'm a painter, muralist, and recently a sculpture artist.
And we're going to dive into that very soon. But what is your specialty within painting or mural work or 3D art?
I specialize in acrylic painting, and my work, I define it as abstract, organic, inspired by nature. Some people like to say it's botanical. I would say could be botanical, but it's more nature inspired.
Mm-hmm. And what makes your work different than others who do abstract work or who might touch on nature in painting?
I guess my work distinguishes from other abstract work because it is very pattern oriented, and people like to think about it as patterns and nature, but also it has the quality of having really great colors.
Yes. I will just say, I think your work is vibrant. I think it is very nature inspired, but we also see a lot of, as we talked about earlier, a little architectural inspiration. You have a lot of straight lines in there, and I'm sure we're going to dive into your color picking and the process about going through this. But do you have any education in painting, or what's your background in art?
Yeah, so it's interesting because my background is in communications. I studied in Mexico City communications because I wanted to do film. And I worked in production, TV production and radio for a little bit. But the majority of my experience is in marketing and sales. So I'm coming from a corporate job, basically. I have no training in arts at all. I consider myself a very creative person since I was a child. In the way I dressed, in the way I wanted to make crafty things, and but never really decided to do like going straight to art school. For a little bit, I thought maybe architecture or industrial design was a good profession or career for me, but it was too late. I was already studying communications, and I couldn't just go back and start over. And because I have so many hobbies and many things, I have interest in many things. I thought it was not really worth it, to go back and just explore other paths. But then I came here, and then when I moved to the U.S., I moved in 2015, and that's when everything started. I picked painting as a hobby. I was basically experimenting with different materials, working with watercolor, washes, and just spending time with the artistic things that I always wanting to explore, but I didn't have the time because I was working.
Before we get into your artistry a little bit, was there anything from your upbringing in Mexico that made you want to become a creator?
Well, Mexico is it's an amazing scene for culture and for arts. And I think growing up, I was able to be very close to museums, galleries, and theater, and just like different things. not because it's required, by school or that, but because I think we grew up in a family, me and my brother, then it was there was a creative parent, right? So my mom, she would take us to the galleries and museums and creative things. And I think I was very lucky to be part of that, or to be exposed to all those variety of disciplines when I was growing up, because that definitely shaped the way I think. And probably because of that, I was very interested in communications, because I wanted to go and explore the human part, right? Instead of studying, I don't know, administration or anything, any more like business oriented things. I was more in the creative zone my whole life.
Yeah. The Mexican culture is very vibrant, it's very expressive. And then you decided to go into communications and business, which I'm sure helps your career a ton right now. But what piqued your interest about painting, about mural work? What drew you to come back into the art world?
When I moved here, I was looking for like following the same path, basically trying to get a job in the same industry. I was working in Mexico, but it was very difficult to nail a job here, because obviously there's requirements about visa and this and that. And I had all this time in my hands to put, to explore different mediums and just different things. I started also taking photos, for example, and I thought, going through these creative phases would definitely keep me busy. At the same time, I was looking for jobs, but I think moving here definitely had it definitely helped me to think beyond what I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
And moving to the Bay Area and seeing all these beautiful scenery, nature. You have the ocean, but you have the forest, but you have the woods, and also the desert. I was very inspired by nature in a whole way, right? But also very inspired by street art, as I was telling you before we started. The Bay Area is very full of art, and every corner in the city has maybe a mural and different expressions in the streets that you can find. And that's, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in Mexico City or in Mexico in general, but it's just different when you come to live in a new city and then you start knowing all these amazing artists because you see their work in the streets. And I think I was at the beginning maybe trying to replicate all these memories from growing up in Mexico, because my work when I started, it was very tropical. It had this sense of beach and tropical, but also botanical and very, very Mexican. Like the colors, the plants, all the elements that I was incorporating in my work at that time were basically similar to the things that I remembered growing up in Mexico, or from these from my childhood.
Right. Yeah, I have here that you draw a lot from memories and observations of nature.
Yeah.
And to me, I know it's a little abstract, but I think it's very evident, the plants, the flora of your work. What makes it abstract to me are the colors. They just pop. And then through this, you were able to transpose this to mural work. And then I'm very excited to talk about the similarities and differences between painting on canvas versus mural. But then also you started doing some 3D art. And what I enjoyed when you were talking earlier is you're trying to find a way to make that painting pop. and to make it come to life. And I'm very excited to dive more into that a little bit. But I want to know a little bit more about this Oakland culture. It is very diverse in its art and people. Trying to make it as an artist has got to be incredibly difficult. But here you are, you have a studio that I was at earlier today. You're also here doing a residency. Do you consider yourself successful? And what is success in painting?
I consider myself successful because I'm able to do what I love. And I think that's enough to be successful. It obviously, yeah, as you mentioned, it is extremely difficult to survive in the Bay Area, especially as an artist. Just like we're living in one of the most expensive places in the world. And moving here, obviously, I had many plans for myself, and those plans were just like they didn't happen because I decided to go to a different route. And and I think deciding to go and pursue this artistic life took me many years. Obviously, started doing things in a very simple way, and then evolving from there till this right now. I consider that when you're an artist, you want to create from within, and you want to put your work out there and make people experience the same things that you experience when you're making them. And if you can touch maybe one person, and when one person comes to you and say like, oh, I feel this and that when I see your work, or I see people, I see nature, or I see landscapes, or I see just many different things, then it's already successful because you're actually representing something, and people are able to see themselves represented as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's dive into a little bit. Tell me about your creation process. How do you decide what to paint?
Yes. So I think my work is organic and abstract, but I see the shapes more lively. Like my work comes from many disciplines or inspirations. I take inspiration from nature, from textiles, from fabrics, from photography, and lately a lot from architecture. I think that every time I see something out there in the streets, or when I'm walking, when I'm visiting new spaces, going to adventures out there, I'm always trying to observe and think what is interesting about this place, even though it's just like I don't know, a hospital, or just like a building in the street. What's interesting about it? And so I try to explore these ideas every time I see things, new things, documentaries, movies, when I listen to music, when I observe art, when I go to exhibitions, when I meet people. That's also very interesting to me, like to draw all this inspiration from people when I have conversations with them. So I decide to represent in my work whatever is exciting to me.
Yeah, I've noticed that you have all these very natural, abstract lines, but then you also have these very straight and rigid lines. And I can kind of see how you're getting that inspiration from the architecture with the blend of the nature. And I think that's very Bay Area, all the way up through the Pacific Northwest. It's very unique, the combination between those two worlds. And I think it is a great representation of what it is through your eyes. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I'd like to go a little bit further into your mural work. How different is your painting on canvas than your mural work?
Definitely different. I don't want to say it's more simple to paint on, or on walls, because it's not. But I'm thinking more in a way that you have to represent something in a bigger scale. So you want to represent something that's simple and that it doesn't take you a year to paint. And I feel like my work translates very well to commercial spaces or retail shops, coffee shops, because it's I think it's appealing to people. Like people really like to see colors, and some people see the landscape, some people see all this nature, but also people get to see human bodies or just different things, and that's what I like to see represented in my work also on the walls, because I want people to think beyond, right? Like when they are out there, they can see something different. It's not a wall anymore. It's more, right? When there's art on it. So it's different from the fine art. I mean, a little bit, but it has the same essence of representing nature and representing elements that are, some of them are familiar to people, but some of them are not. And I like that because I like people to think beyond, and I want them to question things, and I want them to think twice about the shapes and think like, wait, that's not a leaf, that's not a, I don't know, a tree, or could that be the ocean? It's they start to have just all different questions about the work, and I like that.
And what I've appreciated about murals is it's almost a free gallery. People don't need to come to a specific spot in the city and pay money to get in to see a show that you might have one piece. A mural's right there, and you're going to walk past it, and thousands and millions of people are going to be able to see your work. I think that's such a great accessibility for your work to be seen. And you also mentioned how every one of your pieces starts out as a drawing. Might be how you start your creation process. But you've started to transition a little bit into these three-dimensional pieces. How do those come to be, and what's the difficulties and challenges of going from your 2D surfaces and bringing them to life in 3D?
Yeah, definitely many challenges, but I think I went to sculpture because I was jumping into other activities or creating multiple projects at the same time. And I'm used to work big scale because I work on murals, but also I'm used to work in smaller scale when I'm at the studio. So what's something in between, that doesn't represent all that physical work that you're doing out there when you're painting murals, and it's not like steady as painting in the studio peacefully, and my brain just wanted to see translated these shapes into something more. And because I feel like every time I'm creating a drawing or a sketch, I see the possibilities of this shape, not only to see it on a wall, but to see it more in a 3D or in a space. And I jumped to wall sculptures, just by incorporating new materials that I had at that time, just there in my studio, like cardboard and leftover foam board and wood pieces. And I've been incorporating some wood, like 3D cutouts on murals before. And so I saw that it was really interesting to me to see the different perspective of, one design, and to see different layers. And it changes the whole composition. So I thought it was a great time to start experimenting with just different materials and try to create and build these 3D sculptures. So that's how I started. Everything, just like cut everything myself, and putting pieces together like if it's a puzzle. And as I mentioned before, architecture inspires me a lot. And every time I'm creating these pieces, I'm trying to see how these new materials interact to each other, and how color also helps to, to distinguish like one piece from the other, and how light is affecting, or light or shadow is affecting one piece or the other next to it, and how to see different layers into one piece.
Yeah.
And so it's a different way to approach creatively a painting or a piece. And it pushes my creativity in
Absolutely.
in ways that I was not able to perform,
Yeah.
or with painting.
What I find fascinating with your work from the canvas to sculpture is that they're very similar, but the sculptures, you can almost take out different shapes and they become almost a negative space. And it almost just adds to the texture, adds to the different layers for your sculptures. And what I love about all three of your paintings, murals, and sculptures is you can tell they're all Fernanda's, that they all have your signature touch. Can you, or do you have any advice on creating your signature touch even through the different mediums?
Yeah, I think one thing that's very representative about my work is color, first. Second, just some shapes or elements that are repeatedly put on all the different mediums that I'm using right now. So I guess when you're trying to create your style or define your style, you have to think about some important things that are gonna be constantly repeated in your work. Maybe in a different color, maybe in a different scale, but they are there. Some people represent their work. Some artists have very representative work because of a specific theme. I guess in my work, it does it followed like the same way, or the same aspect of it, because it's organic and it's abstract. And I know there's plenty of artists working on abstract work, but I think the way I create the shapes that I make are very bold and unique, in a way that some people say they are like ripped paper, like
Yeah.
they think it's collage. So I don't know, I'm just trying to make it interesting and make it constant.
I mean, the fact that you're starting a conversation between people is almost being successful as an artist there. I mean, people are just looking at it and talking about it and trying to figure out the emotions that they're getting from it and diving into it. And you might just be sitting there going, "You're welcome."
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the different perspectives.
Uh-huh.
And that informs a lot your work as well. Listening to what people have to say about your work. It's not going to change the way you work, obviously, because you have a very or at least for me, like I'm not gonna change my style, at this point, because one person didn't like it, or because
Right.
they considered I don't know, that shape is very aggressive. I've
Yeah.
heard those things before.
Ooh.
Like, no, that shape is kind of aggressive, and I'm like, okay, it's interesting just to listen to these things, right? It's not gonna change the way I work, but it's gonna provide different perspective, obviously.
Well,
Right?
I love the fact that you found your signature, you found your style, and you're sticking to your guns, and you do that. I think artists are storytellers. I think what we do is just try and evoke a feeling, and I think your work is a prime example of that. I think when you look at it, you get a story. You understand what you were trying to get through your painting. So once again, thank you for pursuing
you.
your artistry and showing us what people can get out of it. Abstract work is just such a hard thing because people are going to perceive what they want out of it.
Yeah.
But your job is to kind of give them the vibe, give them the feel of what they're trying to feel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then while you're working, do you have the preconceived idea of what you want them to look like? Or as you're working, does the paint kind of speak to you and go, no, we need to go over here?
I think it's half and half. like I start with drawings, as I said, like I sketch a lot, and I have like some ideas of what I want to represent in that painting, or I have a clear color palette in mind, for example. But as I am putting that into the canvas or a wall, I realize that there's possibilities of changing this and that. And I feel that's where the intuition comes and provides you a different perspective. And so, and new possibilities just to create a new piece. So I would say it's a 50-50. Sometimes it's more like 40-60. Sometimes it's 30-70. It changes. But I don't think I work. I'm not planning the pieces as maybe you will think they're planned. With all these hard lines that you mentioned before, the edges that have to be like very straight and that. It makes me think about the piece beyond and trying to see the composition in a different way, because I'm thinking about where to place color, and that opens multiple possibilities instead of like working just with a more flat composition. So what I like about this, I'm not gonna say new style, but it's kind of evolving from like the flatness of my work that it used to be before, is that it pushes my creativity more, and it makes me think about the piece in just different ways. And I don't want to keep the piece so busy that it's not gonna be enjoyed, or that I'm seeing it and it's like, oh, it's making me think like it's too much, right? But at the same time, I want it to be interesting. And I want it to be more than just like simple shapes or more like minimal shapes.
And I haven't noticed until right about now as I'm looking at a lot of your pieces. Do you have the same color palette for all of them?
No, no, no. I have favorite color palettes
Okay.
at this point, but I am always looking to create new colors, or trying to think this color seems complicated. How can I make it look good? When you have like a gray that it's like, well, that gray is like so boring, right? And then you put it next to like the perfect purple, it's not gray anymore, it's purple. And like same with blue tones and same with greens, and like I have obviously my favorite colors at this point and my favorite combinations, and I know what's gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be like nice and pleasant to the eye. But then I like to challenge myself too, in ways that I'm like, well, just I'm gonna push a little bit more with this color and see what happens. And sometimes, it's I fail, to represent something that I had in mind, but it's fine because I learned, and then I'm not gonna use that color next to this anymore.
Well, going off of that, while you're playing with your colors and it's not working, or you're in this studio working 7 days a week from, you said 11 to 6 every day, where you have to be on, somebody could come in and you have to talk,
Yes.
explain your work while you're working and do whatever, showcase your work. As an artist, we all hit a brick wall. How do you overcome a creative block?
I just go and do everything, something else, but not this. I believe that if you put the thing there and leave it by night and then come back later, it's gonna speak to you and you're gonna see it with different eyes. So every time I'm blocked and I don't know what to do, I watch documentaries, I watch movies, I listen to music, I go on a walk, I have conversations with friends or family, and I just do anything else that's not art.
Yeah, that leads me right into the next question. Do you have any hobbies, and do they complement or contradict your craft?
Yes, I have multiple hobbies. I like to play tennis. I like to skate, roller skate. I haven't done it in a few months now, but
What, you've been busy?
I've been busy. But yeah, I like to read. I like to watch a lot of documentaries. As I said, like I really enjoy that. I like to go on walks and appreciate nature, obviously, because that informs my work as well. And I think it might be hard to explain how these different hobbies might be related to my inspiration or my art life.
Well, like you said, even just going for a walk, especially in the Bay Area, you're gonna find inspiration anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And then going a little further, I know you didn't have the education in the art world. Do you wish you did, or would you recommend going to school for artists?
It's a good question. I am biased, honestly. I feel like because I didn't go to art school, I wish I had gone, to be honest. But I don't know. I feel like the way that I approach my art in this stage of my life is just the way it has to be. You know, if I had gone to art school, it would be a different, totally different
Absolutely.
movie right now, right? Like different story. But I mean, I don't know. School provides many things to people, and I'm grateful that I was able to study communications, for example, because that gave me a lot of knowledge about many things that people don't know, for example. No. And I am also grateful that because of this career, I was able to work in marketing and sales for about 6 years, I guess, in Mexico, because that also helps a lot when you, especially when you're running a business like this or any business, right? You need that knowledge as well. But yeah, maybe I'm finding right now that architecture or industrial design might have been a good way to approach art.
So, what would be your advice for somebody getting started in sculpture work or painting?
I would say yes, go to art school. If you know, I mean, if you know that that is something that you 100% want to pursue, go to art school. But you can always change, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to stick to your major or right. Like, so my advice would be go to art school if you know that that's exactly what you want to do. Go to, oh, and obviously, if you were thinking about going to become an architect, you have to go to to school. You can't just be an architect without going to school. Mm-hmm. Same as engineering, same as I don't know, designer, right? You have to go to school to become a designer.
And then this is another almost trick question, but as artists, we always have somebody come up to us and tell us, I don't get it. How do you handle criticism?
I think I handle it well. Honestly, I do what I wanna do and I do it, and then if someone doesn't like it, fine. Because you don't have to be liked by everybody. And same with my work. My work speaks to multiple people. Doesn't it doesn't have to be for everybody, you know? But I think as an artist, you have to be ready for rejection all the time, not only as an artist. Let me reformulate this. Not only as an artist, but we live in just a world that you have to be ready for criticism and rejection every day, all the time. And Yeah, and so you have to be ready for that, and honestly have to take the good side of this criticism if you feel like it's, good criticism that you can handle, and then change it, and then prove that it has some through.
Yeah. I ask. I can't imagine you get too much criticism, even though abstract work is probably where you'll get the most criticism because people are seeing what they want to see out of it. And it might not be exactly what they want to see. So I can't imagine you get too much criticism, but it is something as artists we deal with all the time.
Yeah.
Even side comments that people don't even mean to mean anything.
Yeah.
And you have to sit there and filter out what means something and what do I actually need to apply, or is that just somebody's opinion?
Yeah, you're right. Also, I get rejected all the time.
Really?
Yeah, because I apply to multiple things all the time, and I know at this point that my work would be a good fit for this and not a good fit for that. And you have to learn that very fast if you are in this industry too. I believe that. Because if not, you're just gonna keep pushing towards the same wall, and not going, it's not my wall, it have to move this way if I wanna keep making this. And so you have to learn that fast. And I know that I can apply for this and all, I don't know, these opportunities. And there's also a lot of competition. And yeah, I get rejected multiple times a month, sometimes 10 times in the same week,
Wow.
and it's fine, like,
Gotta have a
just gonna
tough skin.
keep pushing.
Yeah. Well, let's lighten the mood a little bit. Tell us about La Tinta.
Yes. So La Tinta started as my personal brand. When I first moved here to the Bay Area, it was in 2015. And it was a time where I was applying for multiple jobs in the same industry that I was doing in Mexico. So I was working in sales and marketing. And I came to the US to study at Berkeley, and I did a business management program. And I wanted to pursue like the same path, and obviously was not easy. And I started to create paintings and illustrations and experimenting with multiple mediums. And that's how La Tinta started, because I wanted to create my brand where I designed stationery products, merch. I was also selling my art prints at stores, just like local stores, and also at craft fairs. So it was a time 10 years ago when craft fairs and pop-ups were like very popular and very like growing. There were like handful of them in at least in Bay Area, and they were very popular. So that was the best opportunity for me, just to release my products and make people aware of my brand. La Tinta means, or Tinta means ink in Spanish. And I decided I wanted to create a brand instead of going with my name, Fernanda Martinez Art, which now I go by this name. I'm not La Tinta anymore. Because at that time I thought it was easier to remember a brand, obviously, than a name. And there's like 10,000 million Fernandas in the world, right? So, yeah, I thought it was easier just to remember La Tinta.
Probably a few Fernanda Martinez's too.
Yeah? No,
Probably.
I don't know. But that's how it started. And over the years, as I grew from the merch and the products and stationery and licensing, I did a lot of licensing with my work to few companies. I continued with the fine art and the mural painting and now the sculptures. So I decided to put behind the name, the brand La Tinta, and just to pursue my personal name as a brand.
Well, I'm glad you embraced Fernanda. I think it is very you, because it is you.
Yeah.
And what's next for the world of Fernanda?
Yeah, so I'm right now doing this residency in Emeryville. It's a space with rotating exhibitions every month, run by the Rotten City Cultural District in partnership with the city of Emeryville. So I was given the opportunity to be here this month in August, and every month is a new artist. So this month I am creating big sculptures out of recycled materials. It's only cardboard, plastic, aluminum, and like other materials, and paper mache. And so it's the perfect opportunity to create at this scale, which is like my first time doing sculptures, like human-size sculptures.
Yeah, we walked in and you were doing a lot of paper mache, life size, some big stuff.
Yeah. So what is next is presenting these pieces at the end of the month in this space, and hopefully, hopefully exhibiting these pieces in the next few months in other places. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But for now, very excited to keep working on sculptural work, keep expanding my brain, my experience, and finding new materials, learning new materials. I took a welding class this year, and I thought it was great. It's just very difficult, but it's great. So I want to keep learning and keep expanding the way I create, and not just sticking to mural painting and fine art.
I will say, by the time this episode comes out, you will be out of this space.
Correct.
But please search Fernanda's work. I'm sure she's going to be working on something fantastic and amazing. But after you leave this space, I hope you get to sleep a little bit.
Yes.
And take a little break.
Yes, me too.
And where can we see your work?
Yeah, well, you can see my work probably out there in the streets, because I have multiple murals in the Bay Area, specifically Berkeley, Oakland, Richmond, San Francisco. But if you go to my website, you'll find my work, Fernanda Martinez Art. If you go to Instagram, you can find me as Fernanda Martinez if you search, or if you try Tinta_art, which is my handle, and I don't think it's gonna change. So, but yeah, online you can find me on my website.
Excellent. And please research some of Fernanda's work. I think it's stunning, it's fantastic, it's expressive, it's colorful, and it tells a story. I can't thank you enough for meeting with me and piquing my interest. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share my experience and more about myself. And thanks for what you're doing with your podcast or show.
Well, because of artists like you, pique my interest can be what it is. But I do like to end with one last question.
Yes.
If you could excel at any other craft other than your own, what would you want to do?
Music.
Music?
Yeah.
Any specific kind? Instrument?
Instrument, I would love to play guitar like a master, but it's hard to
Master
learn.
a new craft.
Yeah, but music definitely. If I'm, maybe in my other life, I'll be a musician.
Well, who knows? Maybe we'll start to see a little guitar playing at some of your
Maybe.
shows. Well, again, thank you. And thank you to all my peakers out there. Please let me know if you know of any special or unique artists or art forms you think I should explore. I'm currently in Oakland, California, and can't wait to see where Pique My Interest takes me next. Remember, creativity comes from the heart. Push yourselves. Be kind to each other. I'm Scoop Decker, and thank you for helping me pique my interest. This episode was produced by Lizzie Webb. Be sure to follow on social media to stay updated on all the adventures into art and creativity, as well as all of the past Pique My Interest featured artists. If you like, please leave a review. Send us a message. Tell us what you think. Pique My Interest is for you, the peakers.
Cheers to creativity, and I hope your interest is piqued.